Welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty podcast. Back at it again. Craftman, what's up?
Oh, nothing, man. Just happy to be back on. It's been a couple weeks, and I'm just ready to talk some football. The playoffs have been great. My Packers got knocked out, but, I'm still happy about it. I'm still happy about the way the playoffs are shaked out, and just ready to watch this Super Bowl.
Yep, I think I'm pulling for the 49ers, but I'm going to put my money. I think I'm going to put my money on Kansas City. What you think? I think 49ers were favored from what I've seen. So I haven't placed my bets yet or anything like that. But I'm leaning Kansas City.
I think I'm going to take Kansas City too. I don't want either of these teams to win. I wish there was a way they could both lose. But I don't guess that's going to happen. I can't stand San Fran because I'm a Packers fan and they just always beat us in the playoffs. But, I mean, I like all their players. I like Debo. I like Ayuk. I like Purdy. It's just I guess I'm going to be cheering for San Fran, but I think it's hard to bet Mahomes versus Purdy because Purdy's kind of been up and down in these playoffs so far. So I'm going to take the guy who's been there. Was this his fourth Super Bowl already that he's been in?
Man, I think so.
Freaking
going for his third, right? Didn't they win last year?
Yeah, he won last year. Is he gonna pass Brady in his career?
Man. It's impossible. The man lost. He just lost to Tom. I mean, that dude would have to win like 9-10 Super Bowls to convince me. I'm just being honest.
I mean, he's Tom got 7.
Tom got him. He's 2-0 versus Mahomes in the playoffs. 1-0 in a Super Bowl. I think they're 3-2 all time, regular season and too much.
I'm head to head for the best quarterback of all time. Do you think there's any chance he just passes Tom Brady for the GOAT?
He'd have if he got 10, maybe
10.
Yeah,
10.
Maybe 9.
I saw a crazy ass stat the other day on Twitter that was I don't know who posted it, but Patrick Mahomes is 14-3 in the playoffs already in his career, and he has as many wins as Peyton Manning has had in the playoffs his entire career. Peyton was 14-13 in his career. Mahomes is already there.
Mahomes is definitely up there in that top 5 range for sure.
Already
he's up there with the Peyton Mannings and if he wins this Super Bowl, I'd probably put him maybe 3.
If he retired today, is he a Hall of Famer?
What? Yeah.
Already?
Don't even got to vote. They could just walk him in.
I think Brock Purdy is too. Hall of Fame ballot. First ballot.
I think people need to start putting some respect on Brock Purdy's name. He'll be catching a lot of hate.
He's just a game manager, man.
I don't know.
I'm just playing. That's what everybody says. He's just a game manager, but he made some good plays. I mean, he threw. There's only one person in this world that can throw a pass off a defender's helmet and get it caught 50 yards down the field by his receiver. You know what I mean? That takes some precision to do that.
Yep. I'm pulling for Brock Purdy. There ain't no doubt about it. But tonight, we just going to throw out some buy lows, sell highs. I got a bunch of names over here I'd buy low on. And I'm starting to send out. I've already sent out a few. Hadn't really made any trades in the off season that I can think of. I've shot for some buy lows, but but I mean, it's early too. So
it ain't even the off season technically.
I mean, yeah, that's true. With one game left. But shoot, crap, man. I say we just start throwing out names, go position by position on some buy lows, and we could talk some sell highs a little later on. But I'm just gonna crack me open a beer and start tossing out some names.
Let's do it. I'm ready. Been holding on to this list for a minute.
All right, shoot. My first one is T Law. Man, been sending out offers right now, but I just don't know how low T Law's value is. Trevor Lawrence finished. Man, heck, I had him in redraft all year. He was killing me all year, except for a little stretch. But T Law finished quarterback 12. And I think some people are starting to jump off that bandwagon a little bit. And I saw a stat. I know it's just some weird stat, but it was like 16 or 19. He had like so many plays that were almost touchdowns this year that just weren't touchdowns. I just think the ball didn't bounce his way this year.
Yeah.
So their O lines are pretty bad too. But I don't know. Fantasy wise, Trevor Lawrence, I would definitely go buy low on him. But here's one thing. When it comes to a real football conversation, I've always said that, and I'm a Clemson fan, so I watch T. Law. He don't really have that dog in him. I mean, unless he's developing that junk. I mean, because even when he won a championship in college, I mean, they blew everybody out. He ain't ever really had to be, clutch. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never really saw that from him, but fantasy wise, I'm all in. I'd definitely go get him. I just want to know what the price is because I sent out. I got Tua in a league. I sent it out to Big Dunk, who's got T Law. Of course, when you're trading with these guys, you get an LOL back.
Tua for T Law straight up.
Yeah, I mean, I sent it, and he said that he would have T Law ahead of Tua. I would too, but I was just wondering if he would. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But I don't really know what it would take to get a Trevor Lawrence at this point in time.
Well, that's kind of the value he's at right now. I know the guy who has him in my dynasty league, talked to him, and he's like, man, I'm just tired of waiting on T-Law to be good. We've been there for 3 years, waiting on the breakout. Just so he is in that range where you can maybe try to go out and send a little something and go get T-Law if you believe in him. But my thing is, when I watch the Jaguars play, they look fine. I don't even understand how they miss the playoffs. I mean, he was just really injured this year, so you got to take that into consideration too, that he wasn't good and he was injured, but he was injured in the second half of the year, which is actually the best football that he played, because I had him in the first half in redraft, and it was almost unbearable. I mean, he couldn't top 20 fantasy points in a 6-point passing touchdown setting. So, I mean, you might be higher on him than me. I ain't really with it. I don't really want him as much. I mean, if you could trade Justin Fields for him, I might could do something like that. That's about as high as I could go, straight quarterback for quarterback type trade right there. But other than that, I mean, like you said, though, I'd rather have him than Tua.
Right. All right. Well, heck,
Clemson quarterbacks, man, they just can't make it in the league, man. They're just terrible.
We'll see. But let's just
Florida Gator players, man. Can you name one good Florida Gator that made it in the NFL that was really good and didn't kill anybody?
Percy Harvin.
Yeah, he wasn't that great.
Tim Tebow.
Okay.
He was great.
He was great. He was great in the NFL.
Man.
I'm sure there's some offensive linemen out there, some cornerbacks or something, but as far as the offense goes, man, I don't know. Them damn Gators. Clemson's right there with them, man.
Shoot, Kraft, man. Start throwing out some names. Because we got a bunch of buy lows. We might as well start ripping them out.
Well, my first one that we on quarterbacks right now is Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And just got to keep believing in this guy. He's got the talent. He's got the arm. He's got everything he needs. I am a little scared of the fact that his receivers are getting older. They were ranked, I think, 30th or 31st in cap space this next year. So they don't have any room to bring in anybody. They're not going to be in the T. Higgins talks, stuff like this. So they're going to either have to draft one. I know Brock Bowers has been mocked to them a lot, and that would be great. But QJ is going to have to step up. You know, Keenan's going to be back for another year, most likely. But they're going to have to figure out how to get him some healthy weapons. Mike Williams is, yeah, I've given up on him at this point. So, that's the only problem there. But if you can get past that, I still think he's got top 5 quarterback in him in the next couple years. And I mean, people don't like him right now because of that fact that he got hurt. But before he got hurt, he was a QB4 on the season in points per game. So I would take the QB4 any day of the week, even though it looks bad.
Right. He finished as QB 17. We're talking about behind Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, Sam Howell.
Not in points per game, though.
Right, of course. But what you call it? I would go get him. I got him right here on my list too. I immediately, the only trades I've even sent out this offseason are probably for Trevor Lawrence and Justin Herbert. So
yeah, and I mean,
yeah.
Justin Herbert, he had a little. It didn't look good, but Jalen Hurts didn't look good either. He was still the QB3 on the year, and I'm not saying to trade Patrick Mahomes for Justin Herbert. This is definitely not me saying that. But if you played fantasy this year, you would have been more happy with Justin Herbert in the games that you had him than you did Patrick Mahomes. I know the playoffs have kind of skewed things, and I had Patrick Mahomes as a buy low on here because I made it two or 3 weeks ago before the playoffs started because he had such a bad year in fantasy. But, I mean, Justin Herbert's just going to be fine. Patrick Mahomes is going to be fine.
Right.
They're going to figure it out. Chiefs going to bring in another receiver, another weapon. So both of them guys, if people are pissed off with Mahomes and the way he performed this year, when we talk about buy lows, it's not like you're going to get Mahomes for cheap, but his value is lower now than it was a year ago.
Yep, I'm glad you said that because definitely, just because some of these are buy low, you're still gonna have to pay up if you really want them.
It's just saying their value's not at its peak is pretty much what we're getting at.
So another guy I got is Joe Burrow. I think there's a little bit of frustration of Joe Burrow out there, always getting hurt, man. But he finished, with season stats, he finished, what did he do? Missed the last, how many ball games?
Shit, a lot.
It was a bunch.
And he sucked with his calf injury at the beginning of the year, so he really only had like two or three good weeks on the entire season when he was starting to get over the calf injury, and then he screwed up his wrist and
So definitely if you could play off that narrative to somebody that might be frustrated having Burrow getting injured all the time, go buy low on him. I'd go take my shot on Joe Burrow.
Yeah. And going back to Herbert to show how low Herbert is, I was just sick and tired of his ass. And I'm a Packers fan, and you can take advantage of people like me who are Packers fans. I just traded Herbert straight up for Jordan Love and got on with it. And I don't know if that was the right move or not. Probably not, but I like the Packers' young receiving core. But there's a couple homers in your league that would do something like that, like I did. So and I play to win, but shit, I like to have my players to watch on Sundays too that I actually enjoy watching. And the Chargers are, I think I've said it on a previous episode, I can't stand the Chargers, so I just don't like that team.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Man, what league was that in? Was that in Doo-Doo?
My other dynasty league. I traded just traded him straight up. I was like, man, screw this guy. I've had him for 2 years. He screwed me 2 years in a row. Then he's the reason I keep losing. So give me Jordan Love. Give me these young guys. Screw it.
Right. Did you offer that to the poor man?
I didn't have Herbert in doo-doo. I had Hurts. I wouldn't trade Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade Jalen Hurts to Jordan Love. The best offer I got was Jordan Love and Rashad White for Hurts, and didn't do that.
You know what? The poor man's got Herbert and Jordan Love on his team. That's what I got a little confused. All right.
Don't forget Will Levis now. He's got Will Levis too.
Hey, man.
Stud in the making.
Man, I just was pulling strings this whole season. I mean, this football season, and here I am. I'm definitely ready to talk about some rookie stuff. I ain't gonna lie.
So, what do you think it takes to get old Burrow? I mean, what QBs would you trade for him? Like Kyler, for sure. You seen Kyler out there?
Listen, I don't know, man. You know how I am about Kyler. I don't know if I'd do it.
Well, here's one. I don't think he's on either of our buy low lists, but he is a buy low if you're willing to take the risk. Justin Fields. Everybody thinks Caleb Williams is going to the Bears.
Right.
What do you think happens with Justin Fields? Are you just going to be left? I mean, are they going to trade him? Is he going to the wherever? I don't know. People keep saying the Falcons, but who knows?
God, I hope he comes to the Falcons. Big time. I mean, that's what we're hoping for. I feel like he's definitely getting traded. I feel like the Bears are definitely taking Caleb Williams. So, I don't know.
He's on Justin Fields?
Maybe I would. I mean, I got him in our Dynasty League Superflex, and I'm just pretty much content with holding him.
Jordan Love? Would you trade Jordan Love for Justin Fields?
I'd definitely take Jordan Love.
What about
who's the guy? Jordan Love, Phil.
Yeah, Phil's got him. I'm trying to think of some Jared Goff.
Nah, I'll take Fields. Because I don't know, man. I just think if Fields really does go to the Falcons, I think it could be pretty good. He'll be loaded with weapons. But, I mean, I know it's a long shot. But what if he goes to Pittsburgh? Like Justin Fields in? I don't know if I like that as much anymore.
Oh, they do have Arthur Smith, so he likes to run the ball.
I just think it's more likely he's getting traded. So, but if he stayed with the Bears, that'd be nice too. That's another good option. So, I don't know.
Well, I heard, there's a good comparison to Justin Fields where he has a lot of rushing upside and he looks great in fantasy, but he's kind of following that little Marcus Mariota path right now, ain't he?
Yeah.
It could end up that bad. Like there is a point where it could be that bad. And I know me and Ian had a heated conversation on the podcast one day about Justin Fields, and he was pretty much saying no way that he's definitely the quarterback for the Bears next year. And I was like, man, I don't know.
Yeah. I just think it makes sense to go ahead and reset the quarterback, the money on the quarterback spot, build around it. That's basically what they got to do. But, all right, hear me out on this next buy low, though, Craft Man. Bryce Young.
He's low. He's definitely low.
He's definitely low. And, but what is that price on Bryce Young? All right, so put it like this. I would have taken him over. Last year, I literally would have taken him over Anthony Richardson and C.J. Stroud.
You're not the only one.
But here's what I'm saying when you talk about buy lows. Like, this dude had a value between 102 and 104. And then the next year, his value, if it was like a 201 or something like that, I feel like I would take that all day. So I would just take the shot. That's something like that. But what is his value? Like, would you pay 111?
I mean, I don't think you're getting it done for draft picks. Like, I don't think anybody's trading Bryce Young for like the 111. I think they're just going to hold and see what happens at that point. I think you're looking at more like trading a veteran QB for Bryce Young. Like, if you got a contender who has Young, I mean, throw out Kirk Cousins. out there, something like that. Matthew Stafford. I mean, if you're a team that doesn't think they're super like contending, and you got Stafford on your team, you might could send that out and get Bryce Young, something like that, or even position players. Michael Pittman, somewhere around that Rashad White range. Something like that. You might could get Bryce Young, but I don't think one pick is going to do it. People are just going to hold for a late first or a second, and if it's an early first, they sure as hell. I'm not offering an early first for Bryce Young. So
Yeah, me neither. Because I do like Bryce Young, and I liked him coming out of college, but I ain't about to pay no crazy price on Bryce Young. I know in our Dynasty League, I was offered the Bryce Young for the 104, and I didn't even consider it. So, and honestly, if it was like the 107, I probably wouldn't even consider that either.
yeah,
And maybe not even the 108. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like,
that's
and
closer
I,
to the range though, like 108, 109, something like
but
that. Get a starting quarterback that has the draft capital. They're going to keep giving
right,
opportunity to. But Panthers are in a shit situation too. Like they don't have no draft picks. They
right.
traded them away to get them. So I don't. And they're going to be like, the Jaguars when they sign Christian Kirk. They're going to have to pay like a Marquise Brown a lot of money just to get him to come to their team. They're going to have to pay that garbage team tax to get a receiver in there.
Right. And really, I don't really disagree with anything you're saying. I'm just saying, when you're playing Dynasty, sometimes I'm just looking at the values. And I had him ranked as the 102 last year.
Yeah.
So if I could really get him way lower at a lower price or whatever, I might well take a shot at him and hope
Well,
it
T-Law had
pans
a
out.
terrible rookie year too. So,
Right.
I mean, everybody blamed it on the coaching, but maybe the coaching was shitty in Carolina. I mean, who knows? Like he can come out and play much better next year. But I wasn't as high on him as you during the off season, just because I think he's limited to the pocket too. So I don't know what kind of upside you would even get from Bryce Young, even if he does take a massive step up. Like you would be incredibly happy if you got QB 15 out of the guy next year. Like a decent super flex quarterback to throw in your second quarterback spot. I think you'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty valuable. I mean,
Right.
but he's so low you can trade Baker Mayfield and get Bryce Young right now.
I see. But
Would you do it? Would you trade Baker?
nah, I'm just kidding. I don't even know if I would. Actually, I might would. It just depends on how my team is, to be honest.
What about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I'd do that. I'd definitely trade Aaron Rodgers for Bryce Young. Toss him my way. Look, crap, man. I only got one more quarterback name. I'm just gonna throw his name out there. This is for competing teams, though, and you could probably get him pretty low, except from me. And his name is Kirk Cousins. And listen, a lot of people have sent me second round picks for Kirk Cousins, and I don't blame them because I would have done it too. There's no doubt about it. If I could go out there and get somebody like Kirk Cousins for a second round pick in a super flex league, and I'm trying to win it all day. But it's the truth. Like that's like the buy low. That's a good buy low right there. He's just coming off. He just got hurt. Rumor is, I would say, my guess, and my guess has always been, he's going to be with the Vikings. He's going to come back.
Same.
So I would just go buy low and go send you out a second round pick. Go get Kirk Cousins. What you think? They're going to be throwing the ball? I mean, if everything stays the same, I would love it all. So what's his true value, though? Somebody sent you to...
I'd take, a late first.
You take a late first?
I don't think I'd take a late first. I'd rather have Kirk Cousins than a late first. If my quarterback situation was pretty dire and I needed a QB next year, I think he's gonna be ready to roll when the season starts. This isn't a running back coming off of an Achilles, but one thing that I did hear about like the Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Achilles situation was Aaron Rodgers' Achilles in his left foot, Kirk Cousins was his right foot, which is his plant foot. So we're gonna get to see how quarterbacks recover from Achilles injuries because we hadn't really, got a lot of that in the past. So I don't think it's gonna affect too much though. He wasn't a mobile guy. It's not like if Justin
Right.
Fields tore his Achilles.
Right.
So I think he'll be fine. He's going to be throwing to Jefferson and Addison, and hopefully Hawkinson can make his way back. I'm thinking hopefully Hawkinson can be back quarter way through the season next year, midway through the season. But even if Hawk's out, you still got Jefferson and Addison out there, and you still got a massive 1-2 punch. And he
Right.
was on. I think people forget how damn good Kirk Cousins was before he got hurt. I think he was
Right.
like a top 5 QB before he got hurt. He was on pace for over 5,000 yards.
Right. So, all right, crap, man. Just start tossing me out some quarterback names real quick.
Well, shoot, that's all I got for QBs.
All
We're
right.
gonna mention Burrow. We mentioned the top guys.
Right.
There's. I think people are a little low on Tua right now.
Right. I'm gonna be real. That's one that I got Tua. Traded for Tua in a league year that I needed them in the championship, and I'm just gonna be real. I'm kind of worried about Tua, to be honest. So,
That's why he's buy low though.
yep, that is why. And I've been trying to flip Tua for some of these guys,
So most of
but
the
it just
guys
ain't
we
worked out.
mentioned, pretty much most of the guys we mentioned were injured past year. Burrow, Kirk
Right.
Cousins, Herbert. So, but people react
Right.
react accordingly to when if a player really hurts their team, and if they've been on their team for a while, like Burrow. Like we were talking about him. If you had Burrow and you drafted him, you've had him in Dynasty this whole time. He's had 2 full years of not helping you out.
Mm-hmm.
So people might just be getting sick of that shit. And
I,
that's when you
yeah.
want to go out there and say, let me get him. He ain't hurt my team yet, so
Right.
I think he'd be great.
All right. Let's talk. I'm gonna go ahead and toss out some running backs out there. At the top of my list was Javonte Williams slash Jaleel McLaughlin. McLaughlin.
Malil McLaughlin.
Oh man, I just can't spell on my own paper, man. But anyways, Javonte, it's like you said, I feel like people are all out on Javonte. My only argument is Javonte really came back way earlier than what I was thinking. The dude just played a whole full year last year, and I may have missed one game, maybe. I had him in Dynasty on a championship squad. So
Yeah.
I
He
would
was
buy
terrible.
low.
He was
Yeah.
terrible.
Was not that good. There might have been like 1 or 2 games where you was like, thank goodness Javante got me this, or blah blah blah. If he was playing him all the time,
And he didn't
which
score.
I was
Yeah.
playing him all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, but my only thing is like, year 2 off of ACLs. He did have a bad ACL tear. He tore all that crap up in there. Came back and played the full year. I would just take a shot at him. And Jaleel was really good last year. So if it doesn't work out with Javante, I'd go buy Jaleel too.
Yeah. Jaleel really outperformed Javante and everybody on their team as far as efficiency numbers goes. Like Javante was down there, one of the worst yards per carry, yards per touch out of anybody in the league. I think Josh Jacobs may have been the only one that was worse in yards per carry. But Javante, like we said, we were just happy to even. I have him on my dynasty team, and I drafted him like in a startup in like the 5th or 6th round, and I was really just happy that he was on the field because
Right.
I had expected him to sit in my IR spot for a while, but he was even there for training camp and everything after all that ACL crap, and it's just weird to me watching him play because when he came into the league, it was like the Brees Hall situation. This guy's explosive. This guy's breaking tackles left and right. And I remember the statistic from his rookie year. He was like in the top of the list at broken tackles. And this was on a limited amount of carries. So he was elusive. He was efficient. He was explosive. And then that all went away last year. But you're going to have to take that bet on if the old Javonte's coming back or if that ACL is going to mess him up long term. But I personally think being 2 years in, or what year is he in? So this was this his second year or third year? Did he tear it in his rookie year? I can't even remember.
Nah, it was not his rookie year for sure.
So this is he's on his last year of his rookie contract coming up this next year.
Yep, going into experience 3 years. I had to go down there and scroll down, find his ass.
So he's got 1 year left on the contract. So this is pretty much his prove it year. So if he comes back and
yes, sir.
I like that. I like that kind of stuff though. I mean, came off the ACL, contract year is prove it or don't get no money.
Right.
So I could definitely see Javonte being a very good asset next year if he's going to get most of the work, which they gave him most of the work this year and he was inefficient. So why not roll it back? And he's going to be healthier. So if he proves it this year, his value could skyrocket.
Right. Crap, man. I'm going to go ahead and throw out. I got one more running back name, and I know you had a few of them. My last name I'm going to throw out is Tajay Spears. Derrick Henry, it looks like that's all said and done.
Yeah.
And Tajay Spears is about to walk into a role pretty much just going to step right in. The only thing is getting a new head coach and all that jazz. But Tajay Spears, I was thinking about making a little play for him. I don't know if I'm sold on it all the way. But if you think you could get Tajay Spears, you know he's going to be starting next year, and you can get him at a low price.
What would you send?
I'd shoot for it. I would only send a second, right? I mean, are we talking about like an early second? Would you send an early second for Tajay Spears?
Yeah, I would send an early second. Do you think that
late first? Late first?
Probably, yeah. I've done a little bit of research for our, episode we're going to drop later, talking about running backs and draft capital, stuff like that, and their values. But there's a lot of running backs who get drafted like second, third round. Day two running backs that really outperform themselves after their first year, like Tony Pollard. Players like that who come in and had the efficiency that Tajay had. I mean, he was a good player for Tennessee. He just,
right.
You don't get the goal line work, obviously, with Derrick Henry, but he did about as good as he could do with the work he got. I mean, truthfully, he outperformed Zach Charbonnet. So,
yeah,
and all the opportunities that Zach Charbonnet got. So, I'm definitely with that. I'm just a little worried they could bring somebody else in, but they got a lot of holes to fill anyway. So they might they're going to bring somebody if Derrick Henry goes, but it might not be a guy to, take over for Tajay.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's a little lower than the guy I got, which is Kendre Miller.
Right.
Because the fantasy community is all over Kendre Miller right now. I thought I was quick to the punch, thinking that you can buy low on him, but I mean, you got him in Dynasty. What does it take to get Kendre Miller?
I don't know. I'm not really trying to sell him too much because I like Kendre Miller coming out of college. I was probably a little higher on him than a lot of folks. But I'm not sure what that price was. I would just have to see. Because I'm kind of like, I would stash he's like one of the running backs that I got on that Dynasty team because I was pretty much just selling and getting draft picks and staying low. But I kept Kendre Miller. So I'm hoping that one pans out.
Would you take an early second for him?
Nah. It'd have to be a first-round pick.
I mean, the way this this class is shaping out, it seems like the first round of rookie drafts is going to be full of quarterbacks and receivers. So,
Yep. I think maybe
the
the
201 might
first.
be the 201 might be Blake Corum for all you know, or
Yeah.
Trey Benson, or something like that. So you got to look at this running back class a little different because it's not as stacked, or everybody says it's not as stacked.
I feel like I'm going to say the same as last year. It looks like in the second round, if I got second round picks, I'm going to take a little stab at some running backs. Some of these later guys. That's about the only thing I'm going to say about running backs right now, as of today. Because I don't know where
Yeah.
Corum's going, but I don't think Corum's going in the. I haven't really seen one where he's going in the first round.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, would you take the 201 to the 205 for Kendra and maybe luck up on one of these running backs? Because it seems like they're gonna fall in a rookie draft, so you might end up with a good landing spot for one of these running backs.
Right. Yeah, I would say Kidre is pretty much a hold for me, except for maybe if it's something in the 107 or above. I feel like you got to trade Kendra and Miller, but I don't think anybody would offer that. So
No.
108, all that gets kind of debatable for me.
I
But
actually sent a couple trades out for Kendra Miller. I think I sent Tyler Algier, seeing if I can get Kendra. I mean, who would you rather have?
I'd rather have Kendra.
Just because of the upside, really.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to snag him. I think I offered maybe a little bit more. I can't remember exactly, but I know Tyler Algier was involved, and like Tyler Algier in like a third or something like that for Kendra to see if I can get lucky. But Kendra looked good when he played.
Right.
He just didn't play, so
And that might be all right. So we'll just see how it goes. We'll see
he's
how it
still
all shapes
young
out.
too. Kendra's I think he's still 21 years old right now. He
Right.
was one of the youngest QBs running backs in the class. So you're talking about some of these running backs coming out of college right now. They're still older than Kendra Miller, and he has a team that has an older running back who has been declining, and it seems like the team likes Kendra Miller. They gave him a lot of opportunity in a winning in game at the end of the year when they were playing the Falcons. Well,
Right.
not a winning in game, but they had to have
Yeah.
some stuff happen. But it was a game that they needed, and they gave him a lot of carries.
Right. So that's all the running backs I had on there, Craft Man. I know there's a bunch out there to start throwing them at me.
You got to do the old guys, man. You forget about all them old veterans, the buy lows. You got your Saquons out there. He's on my list.
Yeah.
He
But I'm
might.
just saying, what does it take to get a Saquon? How low we talking?
How low we talking?
Yeah.
Let me look at some players here right quick and see if I can throw a couple names out there for you for running backs. Rashad White.
I mean, would rather have Rashad White.
All right. Let's see here. You're not getting Tony Pollard done, huh? I doubt it.
Nah.
Don't
Nah.
nobody want Tony Pollard right now.
Nope.
Oh man, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough right now, running back wise, because they're all old as shit. And there ain't no good young running backs that really shown out except for like Bijan and Jameer Gibbs.
Right.
So, but there's a lot of. I mean, you could trade ETN for Saquon Plus.
Oof, man. Yeah, I mean, I would do that, honestly. I'm just wondering if that's true. ETN for Saquon Plus.
James Cook for Saquon. I'd rather have Saquon.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about some of these names, and you never know what's up with Saquon. That joker, he could be out of New York. I feel like he's one that's up in the air for me. I could see him getting out of New York, honestly. I don't know why I feel that way. It's just, yeah, in your gut, I just see that it's a possibility. Somebody could throw him the money and he could just take off. Because does he have any limitations on his
Yeah,
Can New York keep him back? Bring him
they
back?
can franchise tag him again.
Yikes.
And that seems like it might be if he plays, that's the only thing I worry about is if he's going to hold out for something like that. But I mean, if he comes back with the Giants, that's fine.
Right.
They were absolutely terrible last year, and he was still. I think he was the RB13 last year with a terrible Giants offense led by DeVito and whoever else. So I wouldn't be mad if he came back with the Giants for one more year and then he's on the free agent market again. He's only 26 years old. He's going to get another deal. I still think you got 3 good years out of Saquon. Ain't nobody questioning him as an athlete. When I watched him on the field, he was
Right.
pretty much
Definitely look good.
spectacular, man.
Would you
He's the
pay
best.
a top 7 pick? Would you pay the 107 for Saquon?
Yes. I think
Okay.
I would. I would. I'm a believer in Saquon. I'll put my neck out there for him because he's just talented. I mean, just the eye test. When I watched the Giants play, I was like, man, I feel sorry for this guy because he's by far he's just so damn good, but plays for such a shitty team. It was like Brees Hall this last year. It was the same situation. Terrible offensive line, terrible quarterback play, but he's still
Right.
performing. It can only go up. It can only go up from here. So, and he's not one of these like Brian Robinsons or whatever, like running backs that are just plotters. He can still bust a 70-yard run and not get caught.
Right. What other names you got for me?
Got Aaron Jones as a buy low. I wouldn't pay the 107 for Aaron Jones. Not even
Well,
close.
look, my thing was I was gonna write down Aaron Jones' names, but I feel like after the way he looked in the playoffs, I feel like these little games, these little playoff games, they just kind of matter a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as the perception of the players, I feel like Aaron Jones looked good. I'm not sure how low you could buy him now, to be honest with you. I mean, he's definitely a vital part of that offense, no doubt.
Well, the cap situation is a little tough with Green Bay for Aaron Jones because if they were to cut him as of right now before they do all their salary cap gymnastics that they like to do, he's owed like $14 million next year, but if they cut him, he's still owed $12 million. He has a dead cap of $12 million. So it seems likely that they're just going to keep him unless they do some kind of thing where they can lower that dead cap and then he's a free agent. But if Aaron Jones goes somewhere, he's a lead guy wherever he goes. It doesn't even matter. Aaron Jones, one of the better RBs in the league. He looked a lot better than Austin Eckler did this year.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think he starts wherever he goes. I mean, he might be in a little committee, but you can pay pretty cheap for Aaron Jones because of the age right now. And old running backs, I had him on there, Saquon, James Conner.
Yeah.
Even though he performed like hell at the end of the season, James Conner is the Mike Evans of running backs. He's always undervalued, and you can just go get James Conner. And he's going to be back with the Cardinals, who they have so many holes to fill that running back is not one of the positions that they need to focus on next year. So I think James Conner is going to get all that work. He'll probably get hurt for about 3 or 4 games and then explode in the second half like he always does.
Yeah. Yep, couldn't agree more with you. What's it take to get a James Conner, though?
A second.
Dang, you think a second can get you James Conner? I'm going to be... It's going to have to be an early second, though, ain't we?
Yeah.
All right.
I think well,
I heard that. Yep, that was tough.
I mean, Tajay Spears for James Conner? Who would you rather have?
Probably James Conner. If I'm winning a championship, Guess it just depends. If I'm winning a championship, I'd rather have James Conner.
I think they'd try to get done, though. Depending on what teams are headed in which direction, I think you can easily get something like that done.
We good on these running backs, or what you got for me?
I did have Josh Jacobs on there. That's another kind of older guy, but I mean, when he played, he was great, and then he sat out. He wasn't. He might have had a little injury going on, but Josh Jacobs was definitely playing that. I don't want to get hurt at the end of the year so I can get a bag. And
Right.
I don't know if he's going to get the bag, but it seems most likely he's going to be back with the Raiders because they don't have a whole lot of RB depth unless, you got to talk about your guy, Zamir White.
Yeah. Got to sell high on Zamir White, I think. If you think Josh Jacobs is coming back, you got to sell Zamir White, and you got to sell him now. So I'm about to try to sell him before I put this episode out. Might have to hold up on the episode real quick. Just to try to sell my guy. Because I felt great with him coming in if Josh Jacobs wasn't coming back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Jacobs still young, too. 25 years old, younger than Saquon. Still on his rookie deal. So,
right.
And he is a free agent. He can go, search the market wherever he wants to go. But I feel the same way about Jacobs that I do about Aaron Jones. Is if he's with the Raiders, that's fine. He's going to get a lot of opportunity. If he goes somewhere else, people are going to pay him. A stupid team will do that Dalvin Cook type shit, and they're going to be forced to play him. So and he can do everything. I mean, he's going to get the goal line work wherever he goes. He's going to catch a lot of balls. Like Josh Jacobs is going to put up numbers wherever he goes.
Right. I agree. Buy low on Josh Jacobs, sell high on Zamir White.
That's where we're at right now. Come back to us in about 3 or 4 months and we hear some Josh Jacobs news.
Right.
I got one more.
One more.
This is the lowest of the rookie running backs from last year. We mentioned Kendre Miller. We mentioned Tajay Spears. I'll mention Roschon Johnson right quick.
All right, yeah.
Because he was the most efficient back on the Bears. He got more playing time as the year progressed. And just like the Cardinals, the Bears got they got a little bit of holes to fill. I don't think they're going to really attack the running back market like that.
Yeah.
And Roschon did everything you could have expected out of him, too, with the opportunities he got. He averaged over 4 yards a carry. He was the third down back. He got a lot of receptions. So if you are a guy that don't believe in Khalil Herbert, which I was last year.
Right.
I think Roschon has just as much of an opportunity as Tajay Spears does coming into next year, and you can get him for a lot cheaper than you can like Kendre Miller.
I agree. I you know what? I'm glad we do these episodes, Craftman. The wheels start spinning a little bit. Start thinking about some of these trades I might want to send out. That's a good one. I like that one.
You can definitely get him for a second, any second.
Yep. Get him I think you might could get it done with a late second. I'm just being honest. We'll see. Maybe a mid.
Yeah. You might have to pay a little bit, but I mean, if you're not a contending team, you got Derrick Henry on your team. I mean, you could throw Derrick Henry out there and get Roschon plus a little bit, plus a pick.
Right. Would you do that?
Yeah, if I wasn't contending and I had Derrick Henry on my team, and I thought my team was great last year, I would definitely send Derrick Henry out and take a chance on Roschon in a second.
I heard that. I might send me a little something for Roschon.
He's in that range where you just want to add him into a deal. Like you're just like, oh
yeah, a little throw in.
Yeah, give me this guy and throw in Roschon.
Right.
And that's the kind of deal you want to make.
I'm with you all the way, Craft Man. All right, I'm gonna start throwing out some wide receivers. Got a few more wide receivers out here, and I'm gonna start it off from the top. I'm a Falcons fan, Drake London, and I'll throw Kyle Pitts up in here too. It don't get no worse than what was going on with Arthur Smith going on in Atlanta, and I'm just gonna be real. At first, I was kind of defending Arthur Smith because the truth is he really shouldn't give a fuck about our fantasy teams and stuff like that. And I don't really care. But then it definitely got to the point where it was like, dude, you got to start using your best players. Like, you cannot keep using these old guys when you got these guys.
I got to ask you something, though, from
Go ahead.
perspective. Did the Falcons, if you were to go into the season, did the Falcons outperform what you thought they were going to do? Did they do exactly what you thought they were going to do? Or did they underperform? Because I felt like their offense was, if anything, overperformed or was average. Like the whole offense in totality.
Right. I'm gonna be real. I think they did exactly what the hell. I mean, all of us are thinking the thing. I guarantee you, all those Falcons fans are thinking the same thing. We've been picking at the same range every damn year. At the what? The 108, 109. I feel like this is exactly what we thought was gonna happen. We were gonna be bad, but not bad enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe some of us who are a little more optimistic was thinking maybe we could sneak up in the playoffs, and we almost did. But I don't know, man. I'm sick of this shit. I hope we can go get a Penix or something. Or a Jaden Daniels. I wish we could go out there and snag one of them guys. But basically, my thing is with the Falcons is...
Maybe.
Yeah. But basically, my thing is with the Falcons is it was pretty bad last year as far as using weapons-wise and being good in fantasy football. Got a new head coach coming in. They're going to bring in a new offensive coordinator, and I think you just buy low hoping for the best because, I mean, Kyle Pitts has got to be dirt cheap at this point. I mean, the dude's a bum. I mean, you can get Kyle Pitts for a third, right? I mean,
yeah,
I'd pay a third.
But I mean, you can trade. You can
A
definitely
late
trade
second.
you can trade an older tight end for him. Like if you were to send out like Dallas Goddard for Kyle Pitts.
Oh man, you crazy! His value's got to be just. What if there's somebody out there who's had this dude for multiple years?
I mean, what tight end are you like? You really think he's that low? I don't think you're getting Kyle Pitts that low. Because they keep having hope every year. It's like we got a new offensive coordinator now. That's what everybody's already talking about. We got Arthur Smith is gone. Kyle Pitts is about to eat. Drake London's about to eat. You know, you got Drake London as a buy low because you think he's about to overperform. So Kyle Pitts is in that same tier. Like that's what people are thinking. Arthur Smith is gone. Kyle Pitts is about to finally reach his potential. Finally.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like Drake London. I'm just thinking Drake London's going to be pretty good. But with Kyle Pitts, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know what to think about Kyle Pitts at this point. I mean, does everybody think Kyle Pitts is going to come back and be good? I feel like it's way more of a chance Drake London comes back and is good at fantasy football than Kyle Pitts. I mean, Kyle Pitts, we're talking about...
I agree.
This is a lot of motherfucking years of this shit.
At what point do you just say it's the player and not the coaches? That's what I wonder.
If somebody offered you a second round pick for Kyle Pitts, would you do that? Would you trade him? If you've had him, you've been burnt by him time and time again.
It's hard to say because I have never had Kyle Pitts on any of my teams. Redraft, Dynasty, I've never had him.
Well, would you buy him?
I would buy him. I think I would buy Kyle Pitts. I think I would hold him if I had him. And just because his value is so low, you're not going to get what could happen. Like there's still a chance that some upside happens. I mean, fucking David Njoku at age 27 just put up a massive season because he had the right quarterback and the right, everything was just worked out right. So there's still a chance that Kyle Pitts has something like that. And you just got to hold him. There's nothing you can really do. I wouldn't sell, but I would buy. I don't know.
Right.
Like I said, Dallas Goedert. That's pretty close of like a tight end straight up. That would be kind of tough.
So the Falcons, I'm just saying buy low, and then I'm gonna go ahead and toss another name up in there because they're kind of in the same situation. Jahan Dotson. I like those. I actually like Jahan Dotson. I just traded Calvin Ridley for Jahan Dotson to you.
Yeah, you did.
But here's the thing: they're definitely bringing in another quarterback, and I think you should just buy low on these guys if you can, and hope that it all changes. Bieniemy staying and the head coach is gone.
Well, Bieniemy staying. They were going to bring in Ben Johnson for the head coach, which would have been nice, but it looks like
Right.
Bieniemy is going to stay at offense coordinator.
So why I don't understand why they don't just move him up to the head coach. You just gotta keep him on as the offense. That shit just cracks me up. I ain't even gonna lie.
They might. They ain't got nobody yet. They
Nobody wants
fired
that
Ron
job.
Rivera. They hadn't hired a head coach yet.
Look, you're just buying
Maybe they
low.
did. They may have. I have to check the news, but it's not somebody. It's not a big name. If they did,
So
might be somebody from college.
you just gotta buy low, hoping that things change around. Because Jahan Dotson was real good in his rookie season. This year, ain't doing shit. You might as well go ahead and take your little stab at Jahan Dotson. I did, but you know, that's just another name out there. I feel like when I think of the Washington, I think of the Falcons. They're just in similar situations to me. I've been thinking of them as the same even last year. Sam Howell, Desmond Ritter.
They
So
just reconnected in that. And you remember that QB episode we did in the offseason where we kind of broke down quarterbacks taken second round or later?
right.
How they don't pan out. Like 4 out of 50 have actually been fantasy relevant. And we pretty much said Desmond Ritter and Sam Howell were going to get an opportunity and be done. So
Right.
Sam Howell looked like he could have made it for a little while. It looked good. I traded Sam Howell and got Jordan Addison and David Njoku earlier this year, and I feel damn good about it.
Yeah.
But at the time, people were saying, "Oh, you done fucked up." And
Can't
like,
question a dynasty. You just can't question dynasty trades. Throw me out some wide receiver names, crap, man.
Some wide receivers. I got Jalen Waddle.
Mm.
This guy right here is the ultimate, like, I wouldn't say he's the ultimate buy low, but you're still going to have to pay for him. But his value has definitely gone down. Puka coming in, you got these rookies that showed out with Jordan Addison and all them.
Right.
We were debating Jalen Waddle as like top 5 dynasty wide receiver before the season.
Yeah.
They was like, do you want Jalen Waddle or do you want CeeDee Lamb? But Jalen Waddle, through this year, he was wide receiver 19 from weeks 1 through 15, which ain't bad. It's still wide receiver 2. He missed the last 3 games, but he averaged 14 yards per reception this year, which is very low for him, and only 4 touchdowns. And keep in mind, he was still the wide receiver 19. But in 2022, he averaged 18 yards per catch and had 8 touchdowns when he was a wide receiver 8. So
Right.
let's just put that somewhere in the middle. And you got wide receiver 19, wide receiver 8. You're gonna get a high end wide receiver 2 out of Jalen Waddle at the least.
Yeah.
Next year. So his value is lower than it was when we talked about him last year. I don't know where I'm going to have him ranked in Dynasty rankings yet, but at the beginning of the year, I mean, you had guys like we were talking CeeDee Lamb or Jalen Waddle, which one you want. And now you're talking like Michael Pittman or Jalen Waddle, which one you want. And I want Jalen Waddle easily.
Right. I agree.
I mean, you can go buy Jalen Waddle for a lot cheaper. Brandon Ayuk, give me Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. I'm with you. I agree. I think Jalen Waddle's a good one. Tyreek Hill had a great year, and Jalen Waddle, it just felt like he had a down year this year, which he did.
He just wasn't as explosive and just didn't score as many touchdowns. Like I said, he was at the top of the list at yards per reception 2 years ago.
Right.
And this year he dropped into just kind of mediocre at 14 yards per catch. That's really not who he is. And 4 touchdowns, he's going to have more than 4 touchdowns next year if he stays healthy.
Right. So you get no argument from me on that one. Jalen Waddle, all in. Heck, when he was struggling last year, I was trying to flip Chris Olave for Jalen Waddle. I was just,
Yeah.
not sure if I would have done that personally, but I was just kind of feeling it, sending it out. You know what I'm saying? But all right, here we are. I'm gonna throw you a lower end buy low right here. A younger guy. I'm gonna say Michael Wilson, Arizona. We
That's
just
not
gonna
bad.
see. we're just gonna see what Arizona's gonna do. I'm thinking Hollywood's probably out. So Michael Wilson, second round draft capital. We'll just see. Kyler's gonna be back for a full year, and we'll see what they do in the draft. Maybe they bring in a Marvin Harrison. Maybe they don't. But I don't know. I just feel like Michael Wilson. If I could get him for a second, heck, I was doing crazy crap last year trying to flip him for Zay Jones. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get Michael Wilson. So it obviously didn't work, but I would definitely try to go for Michael Wilson.
Yeah, that wide receiver room is wide open with Marquise Brown leaving, most likely, unless they pay him. But I don't think Marquise Brown's coming back.
Me neither.
I think he's gone. He's going to take some money, go somewhere else. Who needs some speed, and Michael Wilson might be number 2 on that depth chart. Like you said, if he comes in, but Trey McBride's going to take a lot. But yeah, that's a good buy low. So you would take Michael Wilson over any second, or just a late second?
Nah, I think I would. I would go. I think I would throw the 201 for Michael Wilson. That's what I think. I don't know.
Just based on the opportunity that you think he's going to have, and Kyler
bringing back, and I think it would. First of all, I think it would probably take a high second. I don't know. I'm not sure what people think of Michael Wilson. It ain't like people are out there posting Twitter posts. That's what I'm saying. Like, it ain't nobody out there is on Twitter posting about Michael Wilson and shit like that. So, you know what I'm saying?
I think you can get Michael Wilson for, if you sent the 201. I think you get that done easily.
What about, let's say, 205?
I don't know. I think people would rather have the 205.
What about the 209?
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. 209 is kind of like just,
right,
throwing shit at the wall at that point. The whole second round usually is, but this year just feels different. Like, I'm not saying this class is better. I'm just saying that this class is different because the running backs are getting pushed down so far.
Right.
And the second round might just be, the late first round and second round might be running backs. The first, the last couple of picks of the first round, and there might be a little running back run in your rookie drafts from like with the 109 to the 202.
Yeah.
So you might end up with a decent running back at that point. But I do like that one, though. That one's pretty sneaky because, like I said, I ain't even thought of his name. Not once.
Right.
But I got a couple more. T. Higgins, obviously.
Yeah, what you thinking?
Freaking bum ass. Always hurt. Another guy from Clemson that just, got to watch them. You got to watch these guys when they get paid from Clemson. Like Deshaun Watson, got to watch them. Sometimes they flake out afterwards. I mean, right. DeAndre Hopkins had a Hall of Fame career, though. He never really did flake out. But
the GOAT.
Yeah, the GOAT. But T. Higgins, when he's on the field, he's great. He just got to get on the field. I mean, that's pretty much it. He could re-sign with Cincinnati, or he could go somewhere. And I feel like with T. Higgins, he's going to go somewhere that is decent. I've seen him, there's a chance he can go to Houston or something like that. That would be great. If he stays with Cincinnati, that's probably best case scenario, I think. But
you just hope he doesn't go to Carolina. That's pretty much about it.
You pretty much hope he just doesn't go to shit. You hope he don't go to the Falcons, man.
Yeah, you hope you don't go to the Falcons. That's the truth. I don't think he would.
No, I don't think he would either. But I think T. Higgins has a good chance of staying in Cincinnati. So,
yep.
And if you had him last year, you weren't happy with T. Higgins. But I got a couple more. This one right here, I don't know how you're gonna feel about this because the Puka hype is super high.
Right.
It's Cooper Kupp, man.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp. It looks like, no doubt, he's going to be back next year. And he's owed $15 million next year, so he's going to be back.
Yeah.
And with Matthew Stafford there's going to be Puka games. There's going to be Cooper Kupp games. If I was in redraft coming into next year, I would probably take Puka over Cooper Kupp, but it's if you're looking at that, and Puka was wide receiver 4 last year.
Right.
So, and even if you have to debate whether to take Cooper Kupp or Puka in redraft next year, that means your value in Cooper Kupp is at least a wide receiver 2 for your team. And I'm sure a lot of people are worried with Puka coming in and doing what he did. But I think you can get Cooper Kupp a lot cheaper, definitely a lot cheaper than you could have last year. In the startup, I know Phil drafted him in like the 2nd round or the 3rd round or something. If you were to do a startup today, which I don't know if I'm doing any startups, Cooper Kupp's going in like fucking 10th round. I don't even know where he goes. Like 8th round, something.
I'm not planning on doing any startups this year, but we definitely gonna do some super flex mock draft episodes.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna get into some of them.
Well, what you think it takes to get Cooper Kupp?
If you would have to trade him to somebody who's straight up contending, and I would really either get a young piece back, or I don't know, maybe a sorry player and a good draft pick type deal. But I don't know.
Who do you think gets drafted ahead of one another next year in redraft? Diggs or Cooper Kupp?
I'd take Cooper Kupp pretty easily, to be honest. But we'll have to see about that one. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to start. I can't wait for best ball season to start back up. Start seeing what's up.
Time to lose some money, baby. Time to lose some money.
Man, could have had a worse year in best ball this year. Paying for all those Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor teams.
Yeah.
Shit didn't pay off.
Trying to take the discount.
Right.
But I got one more receiver. Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Just undervalued all the time, but he did end up getting injured about 3/4 of the way through the season. But before he got injured, he led the team in targets. Through week 12 is when he got injured, and Calvin Ridley's a free agent. So,
well, what's it take to get a Christian Kirk? I want Christian Kirk.
Not much. Yeah. I don't think it'd take a whole lot to get Christian Kirk. I mean, I think a second will definitely get it done. If you want to, how many second round rookie picks can you put into your lineup every week? Is what I'm wondering. Now, if we go back to last year, I mean, the tight ends obviously Sam Laporta,
right?
Dalton Kincaid, if he went, they obviously were in your lineup all year. But if you go back to last year's rookie draft in the second round, I mean, you're talking about like Jonathan Mingo. Rashee Rice was pretty good.
Yeah.
He was definitely in your lineup. But all the running backs you took in the second round last year with your Tajay Spears, Kendre Miller, all them guys. Christian Kirk's going to be either a wide receiver 2 or a good flex play every week in your lineup next year. So send the 201 out, get Christian Kirk, have a player that will get targets in this offense. Calvin Ridley might not even be there. Even if Calvin Ridley walks and they bring in T. Higgins or a good wide receiver, Christian Kirk has shown that he is Trevor Lawrence's favorite target pretty much.
Right.
At the wide receiver position because he loves Evan Ingram. But, I mean, you're going to get good production out of Christian Kirk when he's on the field. Yep. He didn't have no devastating injury or nothing. He'll be fine. He ain't even that old. He's like 27.
I'm going to throw out, I got a few names right here, and one of them, I think you'll like this one. I said Packers wide receivers. I will just go buy low on every one of them guys because I feel like they're about to start popping. I feel like there's still like a little uncertainty about who the guy's going to be. Specifically, I would go try to buy Dobbs. We said buy him last year. I think I would still go buy him if I could.
Yeah.
Jaden, here's the thing. This is my opinion.
You got to take a shot with him.
Right. And my opinion on the Packers is Romeo Dobbs is probably the most consistent player, but you're going to have some good weeks with Jaden Reed, and you're going to have some bad weeks with Jaden Reed.
Christian Watson, don't forget about Watson as a buy low. I mean, he had a terrible season, but he's still the most athletic player on their offense.
Bo Melton, all them guys. I'll take Wicks. Luke Musgrave.
It's more like a just hopefully you hit the right one.
Right.
I
You
mean,
just
they're
taking.
gonna spread the ball around, but maybe one of them can pop off and be the guy. Like Dobbs is. I agree with you that Dobbs is probably the one that I would go buy because Jaden Reed's more expensive to try to get right now. If Dobbs had a great postseason,
Right.
that might have skewed it a little bit, but Dobbs is the one that's going to be playing on the outside all the time. He's going to be on the field 100% of the snaps. Jaden Reed comes in and out, and if you want to go in and look at Jaden Reed when Christian Watson was on the field and when Christian Watson was hurt, Jaden Reed averaged like 14 points per game when Watson was out and averaged 8 points per game when Watson was in.
Right.
So, but Romeo Dobbs ain't coming off the field.
Right.
And he's still, last year was his second year. So he's coming into his third year at like 25 years old. So still a young asset to have.
All right, Craftman, would you buy low on Quentin Johnston? I put him right here on my list. And this is where I get to the
Can't do
argument.
anything else but buy low.
Exactly. And this is where I say this guy's super flex. I know he was falling, but he fell. He's probably getting drafted last year? 107, 108, something like that.
Yeah.
Now you can probably get him for a second round pick at this point. So it's like a guy with this value now has this value. You might as well just take a shot. He's tied to Justin Herbert. They're bringing in a new head coach. I'd buy low, but I put a little Twitter poll out there that one day. I said, "Were you anybody willing to buy low on Quentin Johnston?" People was like, "No." I seen somebody comment and say anything above the 3-1, they would sell Quentin Johnston. I would definitely buy Quentin Johnston for the 211 or 212.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I
would
too.
buy low. I mean, I'm not even sitting here acting like it's like the same thing. I was talking about Traylon Burks and all them. I wasn't like the biggest fan of Traylon Burks, but you get him at this value now.
What you spend
Mid,
for him isn't going to kill you.
uh,
Unless
mid
that
second,
211 is Puka Nakua.
right? I'll pay a mid second, but I don't know. If I said I would have to look at the board. If I had the 203, I would slide it somebody's way for old Q's. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
So
what would you put the percentage at that you hit? Just say any player that you grab at the 211 this coming draft. The percentage that you hit on a player that could be a top 36 wide receiver, like a flex play wide receiver. Pretty tough to draft a receiver or running back at the 211 that's going to make an impact. But now what are the chances that Quentin Johnston can break out next year? And with that offense and Keenan Allen getting older, Mike Williams getting older, what are the chances that Quentin Johnston actually takes a step up? I think them chances are a little higher.
Right.
Just based on opportunity. He might just be a terrible player. I mean, we don't know. But you're not spending much.
You're not going to hit on them all, but take a shot. Jameson Williams? I feel like his value is super low, or I would just take him at him as a little flex piece.
It was. Until he scored 2 touchdowns in the last game he played.
Well, hey, then that would make him a sell high if people would just take that one game. Well, what would you do? Would you buy him?
I like Jameson. You know I like Jameson Williams.
All right, I got one more name. Jerry Jeudy. I'd pay a second for Jerry Jeudy. You wouldn't do it?
I'm out.
All the way?
I'm out.
He gets traded to the Chiefs.
I don't even know who the Broncos quarterback is. I have no idea. Russell Wilson's probably going to get cut. They were good enough where they're not going to get a good quarterback. I'm just out, man. It's been too long.
What about Noah Gray? Maybe Kelsey retires?
Nah. If Kelsey retires, they'll just draft a tight end to fill that spot. Noah Gray will still be a little piece of that offense, but I just don't think he's like the replacement for Kelsey.
Any tight ends you want to throw out there then?
I mean, we'll do our sell highs later, but I got a couple tight ends for sell highs, but buy lows, I don't really have any tight ends for that I would really buy low on. I mean, Dalton Kincaid, maybe his value is a little lower than it was last year. I mean, you're
Right.
drafting in the first round of rookie drafts, and I would pay a late first for Dalton Kincaid.
Right. Well, shoot, crap, man. I say since we spent a lot of time on these buy lows, I say maybe start tossing some sell high names out there and just some, we'll just run through them real quick. We ain't got to go too in depth with them, but go ahead, crap, man.
Got to piss.
Oh, go ahead. Shoot, I'll go ahead and start throwing out some names. I got your list right here. And look, when Craftman comes back, I'm going right after him. But this is basically with the sell high. Craftman had pretty much put this together, and I wrote down a bunch of buy lows, and so did he. But here he came with the sell highs, and Jalen Hurts. Craftman don't believe in him. Thinks the Eagles are just done. They did just fall off the motherfucking planet this past year. I would counter that. I would say Jalen Hurts is a buy low. I would definitely take Jalen Hurts. I don't think they're getting rid of no tush push rule or something like that. Actually, was listening to one podcast and they actually said Jalen Hurts as a buy low, and I was shocked. I got to give him credit. So I'm actually with that. Craftman on the list got Njoku. Njoku's not going to be playing with Joe Flacco. It's going to be D Watt most likely. He wasn't really doing all that with Deshaun Watson in the years, so Jalen Hurts and Njoku definitely on the sell high list. Tyreek Hill talking about retiring after 3 years, so here we are. We're in that year 3. If you're gonna sell Tyreek Hill, you gotta sell him to somebody who's straight up competing and going for it, and you go and you get you a younger wide receiver or maybe even a top draft pick. If I could somehow get Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors for Tyreek Hill, I would do that most likely. But you got to sell them to somebody who's trying to win it all. Craftman, I just railed off Jalen Hurts and Njoku, Tyreek Hill.
Damn, you got down to it, didn't you?
You would sell Rachaad White.
Yeah, I would sell Rachaad White just based on the performance he had last year, like the RB4, RB5, and out of the running backs, the second-year running backs that I value the least, it would probably be Rachaad White when you're comparing them to like Kyron Williams and James Cook. I would rather have both of them guys over Rachaad White, and I know some people might think that's crazy to take Rachaad White, especially over, take James Cook over Rachaad White, but there's something about his efficiency numbers. It reminds me a little bit of the Najee Harris RB4 finish that he had in his rookie year, where everything was just coming his way and the reception numbers were incredible. But I think there's a chance that they bring in somebody that can pound the rock and get the goal line work. And Rachaad White just I wouldn't say disappear into the background, but it reminds me too much of the Najee Harris rookie year, where all the receptions were there. But I'm not saying Rachaad White is going to be bad. It's just that his value is at a peak right now where I think you can get a lot for him. Like, if you were to ask me Rachaad White or Isaiah Pacheco, give me Pacheco.
Ooh. I don't know about that one. Spitting out these hot takes, you try to do it while I'm not here. But make sure I ain't listening.
Who would you rather have?
I'd rather have Rachaad White. But I do agree that his value is probably at a peak where if you want to sell him, I feel like now's as good a time as any. You know what I mean? It's
just when you watch certain players on the field, like there are running backs who outperform what you think they're going to do. Like you have your Aaron Jones in the past, but these are guys that you look at them and you watch them with your eyeballs and you say, this guy is a great player. Or you say, this guy everything is based on opportunity. And the guys that everything is based on opportunity, they don't sustain what they've done. And that's what I worry about, is the fact that he got all the opportunity. He had a great year. He made everything worth it, and things could get better. I'm not saying that. I could definitely be wrong about this because the Buccaneers' offensive line was terrible.
Right.
And if you watch Rachaad White play, he pretty much got what was given to him by that offensive line. They just weren't good at run blocking, but them reception numbers, I just don't know if they can be sustained.
Right. Yep. I've been big on Rachaad White for a while, so I'm all in on Rachaad White. I would keep him if I had him in a dynasty. I would have maybe hold him one more year.
Kenneth Walker.
I'd rather have Kenneth Walker for sure.
For sure.
Yep. What else? You got any other names for me?
Saquon.
Yeah, I'd rather have Saquon
Than Rachaad White. What about James Cook?
See, that was tough. I think I'd still roll Rachaad White.
Yeah, I think I'd said James Cook, but here's a couple older names too, like David Montgomery or Rachaad White. Montgomery's 26 years old, will be 27 next year. I think he signed a 3-year deal with Detroit, so I would imagine that his role is going to stay somewhat the same. DeMont was RB17 on the year. Rachaad White was RB4.
Yeah, I think I'm staying with Rachaad White.
Yeah, I think I'd stay with Rachaad White at that point too. But I think Pacheco's like the biggest name. I do got a name that I wonder if this guy is a sell high or not. I'm not as high on this guy, even though I love his rookie tape last year, and I loved what I seen out of him this year. But Devon Achane.
Yeah.
Do you sell high on Devon Achane? Or do you think he's just going to be great?
That one's so tough, man. That one's so tough.
Still worried about his weight, man. I can't get over the weight. I just don't think he can sustain.
And his value is so high. I mean, I was seeing this dude go for a lot when he was going off like that. And there's some people that just straight up believe in Achane. Like, I even tell you about that one trade where I saw on Twitter, it was about they traded Jahmyr Gibbs for Achane. I mean, some people believe, so yeah. Listen, man, you know what? The truth is we're sitting here having a discussion about these players or whatever, sell high, buy low. But the truth is like I've said, when it comes to running backs, I mean, if somebody offers you something for a running back, like a haul for a running back, I think you just got to take it every time. So, I mean, I know we're sitting here trying to break it down like another name. You got Kyren Williams on this list. The thing is I think Kyren Williams is going to be good, and I think I think it could be good for a couple years, and draft capital don't matter with the Rams. But if somebody offers me a haul for Kyren Williams, man, I'm going to do that shit. I'm going to just accept it.
And that's the thing is I got Kyren and actually traded for Kyren. And it, like we said about the buy lows, it's just the opposite with the sell highs. I mean, their value is just at its peak right now.
Right.
I mean, if Kyren goes out there and puts up another RB, a top 5 RB finish next year, I was talking with JD earlier today, and redraft next year, I think Kyron's the number 2 running back off the board.
Golly.
He goes McCaffrey, and then it goes Kyren. I would take him over Taylor. I'd take him over Saquon. I just don't. I can't think of another running back that goes above Kyren. I mean, Breece Hall. If Aaron Rodgers is there, maybe you can make that argument. But with the way Stafford's coming back, McVay's coming back, Puka and Cooper Kupp still out there, I just don't. Unless something happens in the draft where they draft somebody in the second round or something like that, I just think Kyron's got to be. He's got to be he's going to at least be in the first round in a redraft next year, at the least, if not the second running back off the board.
It's crazy to think about. So yeah, when you think about like these running backs, it's like the thing is with running backs, is they could have this value where it takes like 2 firsts to get them, or it takes a lot more than that. It just takes a player and 2 firsts to get them. But then out of nowhere, their value can drop where you can't even get a second for them. So
But
it's
is Kyron
like,
that guy? I don't think Kyron's that guy.
I don't feel like Kyron's that guy personally, but I'm just saying, somebody offers you a player and 2 firsts for Kyron Williams.
Yeah, you got to do it.
I feel like you might as well take it. I hate to say it. I mean, you got to be straight up, just all in going for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which you know,
It could that could still backfire. I mean, if
right.
Kyron is as good as he was last year, I mean, in points per game, he was the RB2. Well, I have to double check that one, but because Devon
Right.
Achane was incredible in points per game, but I mean, like you said, these running backs are interchangeable. You can go ahead and get a haul for them, build your team in a different direction. Go ahead and get a couple first, build your team through receivers, trade a guy at his highest value, but you're never going to get their whole career if they end up being great. So that's the hard decision to make. Like if
Right.
Kyron ends up being Austin Eckler or Aaron Jones or somebody who's going to put up multiple top 10 finishes, and you're going to lose that trade most
Mm-hmm.
likely because that's what you're hoping for.
All right, Craftman. Because this is pretty much your sell high list. Jaden Reed. I just said the Packers are buy lows. You got Jaden Reed sell high. What you thinking?
I just think his value is above all the other Packers receivers. I agree with what you said with the Packers receivers being buy lows, but with Jaden Reed, I think he is the most well-rounded guy, the well-rounded receiver, and great rookie year. I mean, I'm excited as shit we got him. I like him as a player, but if you're talking fantasy, they got too many weapons, and they can spread the ball around whichever way they want. I mean, in the playoffs, in the game that they won, Jaden Reed had 0 catches for 0 yards, and Romeo Doubs had 150 yards. So he can be schemed out, and if Christian Watson comes back fully healthy next year, they add a little bit to their depth. I just don't see like a high ceiling. That's the only thing with Jaden Reed. I just don't see a massive ceiling for Jaden Reed. I can see, a wide receiver 2 for him in the future, maybe, but the way his value is right now, I think you can trade him and get a pretty good haul.
Right. I think I agree with you pretty much. I mean, I just got a feeling Romeo Dobbs is the guy over there.
They
there's
might just
another.
all be.
You got another hot name on here, Nico Collins.
Yeah,
What's your,
this is primarily based on the fact that I think Houston's bringing in somebody in the offseason. And I got Nico on my dynasty team, and I've been kind of looking to sell him, but I want people to realize how damn good he was.
right?
I mean, you're talking about the wide receiver 9 on the entire season, and he missed 3 games. This is a guy who shown. I mean, we're talking Nico Collins or Tank Dell. Which one are you taking in dynasty? I mean, his value is very high right now, but this was his 3rd year in the league. It was his breakout year. And there is still a possibility that he might have had some kind of Devontae Parker, DJ Chark type just 1 year.
Right.
Because you just don't see this that often where it takes 3 years to break out. But it might have just been the case that Houston ain't had no quarterback.
Right.
So he's a question mark of, like, is this guy, like, going to be Mike Evans? Like, is he just going to be the massive outside receiver who can just blow the top off the defense and score a lot of touchdowns and be the big body target for C.J. Stroud? Or was this a kind of like a one-off season and you can sell Nico Collins and get somebody else that you think might be more consistent?
Yeah,
but there's not a market.
Tough.
There really ain't even a market for Nico. I mean, I put him out there. Don't nobody want Nico Collins. They're coming after Garrett Wilson. They don't want Nico Collins.
Yeah.
But where are you gonna have where you imagine having Nico Collins ranked in your like when we do our dynasty rankings, like Nico or Rashid Rice? Who would you
So
rather play
tough.
there?
It's so tough. I think I'm leaning Nico though. Super tough though, man. I don't know, man.
But there ain't no way I could go to Dunk right now and try to trade Nico for Rashid Rice. I'm just not. I really hadn't got anything for him. It's just crickets.
Yeah. Man, it's just man. I love Dynasty. It's
I don't
just
know
some
why.
shit
I
out there.
don't know why nobody wants him. He hasn't been involved in none of my trade offers whatsoever. Nobody's
I,
tried to
s-
get him.
I give you the 108 for Nico Collins.
Nah, I'm not doing that. I ain't doing that.
Uh, all right, Craft Man. Brian Robinson. Ship him on out.
Yeah, I think he's done.
And you got one last name on here, Jake Ferg.
Well, you miss David Njoku, and that
And
guy.
well, yeah, I did say Njoku, but you was off out and about. But yeah, you're right. Njoku. What you think?
That's probably my most obvious out of all of them that I listed as a
Yeah,
sell high because all his production came with Joe Flacco. That's bottom line. Deshaun Watson's owed like $500 billion to play shitty quarterback. So he didn't produce as much with Deshaun Watson. And I don't know if you believe in Deshaun Watson still. You can put him on your buy low list if you still do.
yeah,
He's definitely a buy low. But I just don't think that production is anywhere close to what he did this year if Deshaun Watson's at quarterback, which it seems like he's going to be. And I'm a believer that Deshaun Watson is toast. So,
yep. I'm starting to get that way. I haven't all the way given up, but it ain't like I want him. So, you know,
what could you sell Njoku for? I mean, his value is pretty
super
damn.
high. Could you get one of these younger tight ends? Is
I
there
would
one of
love
these
to
young?
sell. I'd love to sell Njoku and a. Call me crazy. I mean, this is going to be absurd, but I'm about to say it. I would sell Njoku in a late first and get Trey McBride if I could.
I feel like I would do that too. What's crazy about that?
I don't know. Just feel like I don't know. Is that too much value or?
I don't know. Does the McBride person do it? That's where I'm staying. Does the
You don't
McBride
think
person
you
do
don't
it?
think you don't think he'd take Njoku to replace him at tight end and then get a late first on top of it?
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't know. Some of that stuff is tough, like when we start getting to some of these players, but I feel like I'd rather have the McBride side still.
Well, how far would you go up in the first round if you had Njoku? Say Njoku in the 108,
I'll take the 107.
just the 107. You've done your
There's
research. There's a pretty big drop off right there.
there's
It's
a
like
clear top seven. There's a clear top seven, and then there's an 8. I can't tell you a tier 2, but there's a clear top 7 with 3 quarterbacks, 3 wide receivers, and 1 tight end.
if Bowers goes to the right team,
If Bowers goes to the right team,
he'd go to the
you know.
Patriots, man.
Went to the Patriots. I don't know, man.
He'd go to the Panthers.
But yeah, we'll definitely get into more rookie talking. I can't wait. But Craft Man, that pretty much sums it all up. Bunch of buy lows, bunch of sell highs.
Yep.
You know, just some off-season moves to think about. We're not sitting here acting like you got to go do them. We wouldn't tell you to go do them, but it's just to get them turning. Some of y'all getting bored out there. I know y'all are.
Yep.
So
Hey,
don't ruin your season. Just buy low on some of these guys.
I got a couple. I got one more buy low that I didn't mention that was at the bottom of my list that I just didn't see. But I really think Jalen Warren is still a buy low
Dang.
because I still think that there's massive upside with Jalen Warren. He outscored Najee on 106 less carries last year. I mean, he was
Yeah.
and he scored 4 fewer touchdowns than Najee. So he got half the work Najee got, scored 4 less touchdowns than Najee, and still outscored him in fantasy. But
Yeah.
Arthur Smith did go there, and he don't like playing the best player. So, you never know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, that one's tough. I don't know what to even think about Pittsburgh. I'm just being honest. So
Another thing about Warren too is I didn't realize how much receiving work he got, but as far as targets go, he was fifth outside of all running backs in targets last year. He had 74 targets at running back, playing
right.
50% of the 45% of the snaps last year. So if that goes up, I mean, you got a good baseline there with just targets, and that's the reason that he was able to sustain, sustain that fantasy output. So I think Jalen Warren still could go up.
I got Jaylen Warren on my championship team. Told you today. I'm thinking about running it back. Running it back.
I
I
know
figured
you
might
said
as
Jalen
well.
Warren for Tajay Spears, and I just told you to keep Warren.
Yep, that's true. I know. I was just wondering where Tajay stands, and I'm just thinking about my running back room, what I'd be willing to give up. Because in my mind, Jaylen Warren could be a sell high. Could be. You think he's still buy low, but could be sell high too. Maybe. I don't know.
I go buy Jalen Warren. I'd trade Najee straight up.
Well, shoot, man, that wraps it on up, man. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We took a couple weeks off, but here we are, back at it again. Get ready to watch the Super Bowl. Buy lows, sell highs today. Craft man, anything that you want to say out there?
No, man, just a little sad that football's over, but we're about to get into the off season, and we know February and March a little bit dead as far as dynasty and everything goes, fantasy football. And then once the NFL draft comes about, we'll be ready to roll. But we're gonna give y'all all the content we can on all these rookies and everything else before y'all's rookie draft. So just stick with us.
Yep. Just thanks for listening. Tell a friend. Y'all want to do a startup? Hit us up. Bye. But we out.
Peace.